Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video, and welcome to a patch note breakdown. And if I'm honest, I kind of forgot this one was happening. So here I was, I had my little ice cream because it's really hot. I finished it and I was eating it. Quickly went on Reddit, you know, just browsing, eating ice cream, and patch note discussion on the LOL subreddit. I'm like, yeah, there's a patch note. So I'm happy to do them. I like doing them, but I didn't expect there was one today. Just worth knowing. There's another 2 weeks to go of, I believe, this season in ranked. Obviously, there's no resets, but basically there'll be 2 more weeks of the Spirit Blossom theme. And as we learned yesterday, the theme for season 3 of 2025 is nothing. It's going back to base Summoner's Rift, which I imagine some people are happy about. But I've really enjoyed the Noxus theme and then Spirit Blossom, and I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the year they promised us 3 different per year, but now we're going back to Summoner's Rift. So it's a little bit weird, but let's get into it. So it does seem, and I always judge a patch by the scrolly bar on the right that you guys can't see. It seems a pretty substantial patch. So this patch live gameplay updates to shake up the meta game. Whoa. They're doing that mid, like, what? Okay. Introducing new junglers into the pool. Oh, that never goes well. Bringing up the weakest mage supports, nerfing some of the top end, enabling a few alternate builds. Okay. So again, this is the last patch of Season 2 ranked. So this is for Victorious Fiora. There is also an ARAM clash within this as well. So there we go. So let's get into it. The nerfs to Jarvan, Lulu, Nocturne, Rel, Shaco, Trundle, Xin, and Yuumi. I literally told everybody, what didn't I not say that Yuumi doesn't need a buff? And then if I do recall correctly, I think this is Yuumi's second patch now of nerfs in a row. And for those that are going, she only got buffed 1 patch, why is she getting nerfed multiple times? Because Yuumi was fine. Literally, she probably was even too strong, you could say, when she got a buff. So when she got a buff, it made everybody turn their head and go, Yuumi, and now they've made her, well, it's too strong. But the thing about Yuumi is she's too strong as an individual champion, or whatever you want to call her, but she is absolutely terrible for the modern game. Because fundamentally, the support role has evolved of no longer just being supports in bot lane, as we all know. Like, supports do occasional roams when it makes sense. Some supports roam way too much. But there are typical roaming points that are very important. Void Grubs are definitely one of them. And when the enemy Brom is running and he's there, and then your Yuumi is just stuck on your AD carry on bot lane, it doesn't feel great. Like, she really does not belong in Modern League with that shift to supporting. And, you know, every other enchanter will move and roam, but Yuumi can't do that. So she's really bad. We're getting buffs to Brand, Gnar, Lowy, Kalista. Master Yi does not need buffs. I think in a video today on the main account in Master, there was a Master Yi that was absolutely popping off, and someone in my Twitch was like, isn't he getting a buff? And it's like, yeah. No idea why. Morgana, Nautilus, Kiana, Rek'Sai, Sion, again, who's really strong right now, Silas, who is fine, and Zyra. We're getting also adjustments to Mordekaiser, Rumble, the Singed, Varus, Viego, and Warwick. Getting system changes to Baron and Experimental Hexplate. And then we're getting skins. Oh, are they in the... Okay, they're in like the toy line? Bowling League Lilia and Brick Toy Corky. They're a bit weird. But okay. Battle Pass changes. So we have some changes. So basically, there's no longer going to be 50 missions. It's going to be 48. But it will take exactly the same amount of time to get there. So again, officially, just to make it very clear, there is no ranked reset. So when you're seeing Summoner Rift, ranked Season 2 end and all this, it ends, it's a cutoff point to what you achieve with Victorious Fiora. And if you've achieved Victorious Fiora, what chroma you end up with. So it's that simple. Like, it's not a ranked reset. So let's get into the champion changes. Passive damage to monsters increase, Q stun duration increase, and R cooldown decrease. So straight up buffs, basically. And remember, it wasn't that long ago where Brand completely and utterly took over the jungle, and he got mega nerfed to kind of stop him doing that. Well, the buffs are back. So per tick damage to monsters is getting updated to 260% from 240, so a buff. His stun is going up an extra 0.25, so not a lot, but it does help. And then the R is getting a buff 10 seconds lower cooldown on every rank. So just straight up buffs. And, you know, his damage output is always decent. The negative of Brand, obviously, is he can be quite vulnerable in the early game. But in mid to late game, for a mage, he's actually quite beefy, right? Because he buys a lot of the health AP items. And, you know, Riley, Leandries, like, they have health on them. So he actually can walk around with quite a few thousand health. So yeah, we'll probably see a bunch of Brand again, because he was really popular when he was half decent in the jungle. So yeah. Gnar, again, I think incredibly weak champion, but he has been really pro-jailed. But with obviously one of the best changes that Riot has ever done with pro was they introduced something which I think is called Fearless Draft. That if it's a best of 3 or best of 5, then basically each game, whatever champions get picked are out of the contention. So like Gnar can only ever be played in one game in a best of 5. So it basically means only each champion can ever impact one game in a pro series. So instead of having, you know, in a best of 5, even Gnar would be picked in all 5 games, or he'd be banned in all 5 games. So they have to balance him down. They don't have to do that as much anymore, because a champion can only impact one pro game at a time in a best of 5 series. So it's not that big of a deal. Because, you know, if the enemy team gets something that's very strong in pro scaling, well, the enemy team gets one as well, and then neither of them are available in game 2, for example. So, yeah. So he has been very weak in solo queue. And I think part of his problem, and Gnar's always had it, is Gnar is very vulnerable in mini form, you know, rightfully so. And a lot of the modern top laners, when they are doing well, when they are played well, they can just walk over him. You know, he has no defense to it. He just has to simply run away. So the cooldown, obviously, of Boomerang or Boulder Toss is going down in the early game for him. Instead of 20 seconds, obviously, you do get refund if you catch the Boomerang. But it's a 20-second base cooldown. It's going down to 16 seconds. And yeah, it's been staying the same at 10 seconds at rank 5. But that will help his early game, so I don't mind that. Alawi, passive damage increased, cooldown decreased. So she did obviously get changes. So she landed apparently weaker than intended. So they're just giving her a little extra buff to hopefully not be as weak. The crazy thing as well, obviously, when they did that change last patch, which was considerable, she is quite a one-trick champion. So a lot of players would have been impacted by her being a bit weaker. So the total AD ratio of her passive, the tentacle slams and stuff, I presume, 5% buff for her total AD ratio. And then the spawn cooldown of when naturally they're spawning around her is also being sped up a bit, especially in the early game. So not too bad. Jarvan, armor growth decreased. So yeah, just making a little bit less tanky. He's been very consistently good for a long time. So that to me is completely fine. Make him a little bit more vulnerable in the absolute 1v1s against similar champions to himself, really. Because a lot of the champion you'll be fighting as a Jarvan will be the likes of Xin Zhao, Wukong, stuff like that. So I think that's fine. Kalista. AD growth increased. E damage AP scaling increased. Why? So they're saying, while AP might seem like an odd buff, it represents an additional 9 to 13.5 damage per Ren stack due to Rage Blades 30 AP. So basically, they're just trying to nudge everyone, going, hey, do the Rage Blade and Blade the Rune King buffs item build on her, and you'll probably be pretty good. So yeah, that is a pretty substantial buff by the sound of it, as long as you build Rage Blade. There we go. Lulu, again, consistently has been fantastic for a very long time. E cooldown increased, and damage and shield decreased as well. So yeah, she's been just brilliant in essence. She's also been nerfed already quite a lot, but she's still there because her kit has everything you kind of want as a enchanter support. Enchanter supports, a lot of them can just kind of be there and not really do anything. Lulu is quite the opposite. She is very good in terms of either enabling her carry, so if she has a Twitch or a Cogmore, amazing enabler, or Yunara, fantastic enabler, But then she has the flip side, which a lot of Enchanter supports don't. The Polymorph can literally be a game-winning ability. Literally, you can polymorph a Master Yi, he's dead. Like, it literally can win games. I remember, God, it must have been months ago, I played a game of Lulu, and some of you may remember it was against an Evelyn. We won the game because I just, every time Evelyn showed, boom, polymorph, kill. They couldn't play it. Like, Lulu is very powerful in that regard. So it is hard to really know what to do in that respect. But anyway, they're trying again. So the E, which is obviously giving your ally a shield, which then the Pix, the fairy, is doing damage, basically adding a bit of extra damage on each auto attack. Or you're just casting it on someone to do a flat amount of damage. So the cooldown of it used to be 8 seconds flat. It's going 10 seconds to 8 seconds with scaling. The base damage is also going down. And obviously, remember, base damage is the biggest part of the game that a support can do damage. So that does hurt. And the shield is going down flat and an AP ratio decrease. So, yeah, just a complete and utter nerf for the E. Obviously, it will hurt a bit, but fundamentally, you know, she's not a hyper carry, obviously. She's an Enchanter support. So, Enchanter supports do feel nerfs less practically than any other class in the game. She'll still be fine. Like, she'll still be very playable. She'll still be good. Her kit is very strong. Hasn't impacted that clutch polymorph, for example. So she'll still be good. Master Yi, Q now stacks Kraken Slayer and Terminus. Right, okay. That I didn't know what the buff that they were doing to him. As I said earlier, someone's like, he's getting a buff. Why does he need one? He doesn't. So what they're doing is they're just giving the on-hit synergy towards his Q. The Kraken Slayer, which has actually become a much better item, and Terminus, which obviously is that kind of hyper attack speed item as well. So, if he does go a pure on-hit attack speed build, it will be better, in essence, if you buy them items. There you go. This is quite controversial. I saw a preview of this on Twitter because this was a discussion point that I saw a lot of people talk about. Mord. They're giving him an AD ratio on his Q. So to open up more build options on Mordekaiser, we're giving him bonus attack damage ratios aimed at most melee damage output. This will be a direct buff to him in every time he ults. Because obviously, I guess you're stealing stats, and part of the stats you'll steal from people is AD. Is that right? Let's actually look that up, because I don't want to get it wrong, and that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. Obviously, I do play Mord, but it's the kind of the specifics that you're like, wait a minute. All right. So Realm of Death. Okay, no, I need the League of Legends website itself is not the place to go because it does not give you in-depth things, which I do find quite funny. Right. So Realm of Death, Mordekaiser, blah blah blah. So he reduces their current. Hang on. So he also consumes the target's soul, healing himself for 10% of their maximum health and reducing their attack damage, ability power, total attack speed, maximum health, armor, magic resist and size by 10%. In addition to gaining them himself. So yeah, basically he gains 10% of the target's AD. That would count as bonus AD. So total AD is including your own AD that the champion has and any items you buy. Bonus AD is anything you're gaining either from items or abilities. So let's say you're against you ult an AD carry as Mordekaiser and they've got 250 AD. When you ult them, Mord will be stealing 25. He'll be reducing their attack damage by 25, but he'll be giving that to himself, which is going to directly give him more damage on his Q. That's quite interesting. I don't know if it's technically needed, but okay. But then what they're also saying is it actually opens up like splashes of AD, like Steric's Gauge, which again, that's pretty strong because again, Steric's Gauge for an item is an anti-burst item, but specifically in top lane, it's a very good item against a couple of champions, namely Garen. It's amazing versus Garen. It's actually not bad versus Darius either, because it's that kind of burst of like, oh, can I ultimate now? And it kind of confuses them when to ult. So that is actually quite interesting. I'm not sure if I like it, but I also don't spam Mordekaiser enough that I don't really mind. It'll be interesting to see if there is a build that kind of comes out and it is really strong. I will keep an eye on that, and maybe that could be a challenge to spectate of a really good Mordekaiser player seeing what they do. Morgana! Morgana is in a pretty sad state right now. Yeah, the problem that Morgana's got, fundamentally, her kit. Like, it's not good. It's too old. And I saw, was it a video? I think I saw a video, a YouTube short of a dev, and it's basically, what was interesting, it's the same concept that I've spoken about for many years, and that's what people sometimes don't get. In the video, the developer, it was a Riot developer, someone's saying, you need to do something about Morgana, blah, 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 you need to make her ult better. And he was using the same premise I've spoken about, that I always say, right, a champion has got 100% in terms of power value, and each ability, the way you're supposed to design a champion is you're supposed to divide up what that 100% is into the different abilities. And Morgana, her ultimate is a decent amount of that power bar, but it has to have weaknesses, which is it takes quite a long time for it to properly latch, etc. And, you know, in the middle of a team fight, everyone just runs in different directions, and she can sometimes end up not doing anything. But it's just the nature of the champion. If you want to change the ultimate, then you have to change the Q, the W, the E. It's a knock-on effect. Again, it's where I've argued a lot of modern champions, you cannot even compare that their 100% power bar is nothing in, like, it's completely different to an older champion's power bar. Like, it's unfathomable. That's a good word. You know, take even Morgana's. Take Morgana's power bar. It is a completely different parameter and scale what, like, Milio or any modern champion is based off in design. Old champions don't come anywhere near. You know, modern champions, if you were to compare to like Morgana or an old champion, a modern champion's probably got a 200% bar that they're dividing things in, where an old champion's got a 100% bar. New champions have a lot more that they can do. But yeah, fundamentally, I don't think there's a lot you can do to help Morgana other than making her literally just statistically broken, which they're obviously not going to do. So the minimum damage of her W is going up with an AP ratio increase, and the maximum damage as well is also, well, it's actually going down in the base. Oh. What? It's going down AP ratio too. What? So Morgana's a pretty ratio. We're looking to make her main damaging ability more reliable by whittling down the healthier target. So basically what they're saying is most of the time someone's not going to just sit in the W the whole time, so you're not going to get the maximum value out of it anyway. So we're going to take off some of the maximum value from it and give it the minimum, because it's more likely you'll be doing more than minimum damage. Some, you know, you throw W on someone, they get hit by 1 or 2 ticks, and then they're running out. They're not going to stay for the whole thing anyway most of the time. I kind of get the strategy there. So yeah, I think that might be an okay thing. Nautilus, E damage to monsters increased. Oh, it's Jungle Nautilus. So Jungle Nautilus has been a proper legitimate thing. Pro level pick. Back in the day, Snoopy, for, oh god, COG EU? What other teams did he play for? Was it Evil Geniuses? Yeah, he was one of like the main Nautilus jungle players in the game. So, interesting that he might be viable again. The way that I would have to akin Nautilus, think of him roughly as a Sejuani, as in the jungle, but arguably scarier, because his ganks are insane. He's a hook champion, and his ultimate is literally a point-and-click CC ability. Where he hasn't been viable as a jungler really in recent years, his clear speed would be far too low. So what they're doing is giving him clear speed. So his E, the Riptide, the first hit of E will deal basically base damage to monsters with a 50% ability power ratio, because you might buy like a Leandries or something if you're in the jungle. Yeah, that's quite interesting. AoE damage, obviously, and all that. That could be quite interesting to see if that lands well. Obviously, one of his weaknesses will be he still naturally will most likely be slower than an assassin or slower than a typical jungler. So he might just not be able to help his team as much. And if the enemy jungler gets ahead, you know, naturally he's also not going to be very good at doing objectives. You know, it's low damage, so it's going to be very slow to do anything. He will be a more team-reliant tank jungler, but I do see, like, if your team has got a bunch of hyper carries on it, and you're like, oh, we could do with some CC. Right now, you might think of Sejuani, but this might make you also think of Nautilus. Fair enough. Nocturne, again, consistently been very good for a long time. So his armor growth is going down, which again, they did that with Jarvan as well. So they're basically saying the consistently good AD bruiser junglers, they're just a bit too tanky at the moment, which I would actually agree with. So armor growth decreased, and Q bonus damage, bonus AD ratio decreased too, because obviously this is a perfect item on him, and the item's getting buffed. It's literally the Nocturne item. So I guess that's probably mainly why too. So yeah, 0.5 armor less per level. That's pretty decent. And the bonus AD, obviously, which is the Q fires out, and the kind of path, the ghostly, liquidy path that it kind of leaves. When you stand on that, you gain bonus AD. That's going down by 5 AD per rank. So there you go. I think that's fine. Kiana, Q damage increased, W bonus attack speed increased. Now, here's the problem, is they're saying this already. Kiana is already decently strong in the right hands. So she is strong with people that play her, and she's kind of a one-trick champion. So why are they buffing something that they're admitting is already strong? Because the problem that you've got with Kiana, just the nature of the champion, how do I say this? When Kiana has any type of strength in the game, she's one of the most infuriating champions to play because there's no playing against her. Her combo is a few button mashes where she stealths in between it, you get thrown against the wall, and then your whole health bar is gone. It ain't fun. It's not the most healthy kit. You know, I remember I've said a lot about Kiana, that I don't think she's got a healthy kit, etc. And then, you know, literal League of Legends Jesus, Mr. AZAP, there was a YouTube short of his that went viral of him basically agreeing, saying she isn't that skillful. She just does the same combo over and over again, and you get one shot with no counterplay. And it's like, yeah. So I don't like that they're buffing her when they said she's decently strong. In the right hands. She's a one-trick champion. That's the hands that should be playing her. But anyway. So the Q, Edge of Ixtal, Elemental Wrath, the base damage of it is going up by 10 damage each rank. And the W, the bonus attack speed, is also going up considerably. Whoa, that's a lot. 10% bonus attack percentage each rank. Yeah, I don't think she needs either of them, so that's going to be interesting to see if she starts taking over some games, but okay. Rek'Sai, base AD increased with Berg fixes, so going up AD. Obviously, they changed Rek'Sai from being kind of one-shot orientated back to what she was originally supposed to be, which is a bruiser. And I think it has gone well. Obviously, they've done that with Kled as well, and that's gone fairly well. So yeah, base attack damage is going up by 4. And then some bug fixes for the champion, which is never a bad thing. Rel, W, a shield decreased. So again, Rel's been fantastic. So they're just reducing it from 13% of her max health to 11%. So doesn't sound like a lot. It will be when you get to late game, and that's fine. Rel has been very good recently. Rumble. What are they doing here? Q damage decreased. Q and R quality of life improvements and power impacting bug fixes. Oh, so they're fixing some long-standing set of issues with Rumble. I played against a Rumble today. He got very tilted. That caused him to deal less damage to champions when played on red side? Oh my god, that's mental. What? In addition, we're refactoring his flame spirit to work more like true damage over time effect. Wow. That's kind of mad if he did less damage on red side. How does that happen? So damage over 3 seconds. So obviously it's changing from that to 100% AP ratio, so it's a nerf. However, the target's maximum HP is also a nerf. Oh, but the maximum burn duration is 3.5 seconds, so you're getting an extra 0.5. So that is more damage technically if you're getting half a second more, I guess. I'm not sure about that, but okay. And then the equalizer is getting higher tick ratio, which is better for more consistent damage. You know, if someone's walking off, then it helps them basically getting that last bit of damage before they walk off. But there we go. That is so weird. That had a weird bug. Shaco. So Shaco has become a very consistent high ban champion. I think on some regions he is approaching 50% ban ratio. Again, it's similar to Kiana, right? Shaco, by his very design, is designed to be unfair. That's the premise of the champion. He's a stealth champion. If played correctly, he can run up behind you, backstab, boom, you're basically dead straight away. If you play AP, you know, I've played AP Shaco. It's very fun to play, but it is really unhealthy. Like, the fact that you just walk into box into box into box and you get feared. And, you know, it looks impressive partially, but realistically, anybody can do it. It really doesn't take that much. And I would say, like, AD Shaco is much harder to pull off than AP. Because AP, there's no risk. There's really no risk. You put a bunch of boxes down, you blow up with your clone occasionally, position a little bit good here and there. That's about it. You know, Shiv is now scaling with AP. It's an execute, so that's even doing better in AP. AD, you have to put yourself at a lot more risk to actually get stuff done. So I'm okay if they are nerfing a few different areas of Shaco, so we'll see. So they are saying right now his AP build is better than his AD alternative, but AD is still his primary build, so we're adjusting both. So bonus AD ratio for his backstab, that BAM, was 30%, it's now 25%, so that's a nerf. And then the Q for deceive, bonus attack ratio again being toned down, and the cooldown of it is going up. So again, how does this impact AP? This doesn't impact AP. It does, probably in like a rough way. They probably should just nerf the AP ratios a little bit on box and stuff, but they're not for now. But why is this a nerf to AP? They use deceive a lot to reposition themselves, to place boxes, to queue behind somebody with a clone on a ticking time bomb to explode without any counterplay. The queue is important to AP Shaco. Again, I would say this is primarily an AD Shaco nerf, though. Like, both are AD ratio nerfs, and it's just a cooldown nerf. So I potentially would have liked to see maybe an AP ratio nerf as well. I think he has been very strong in a few different areas, and I think it would have been fine to nerf the AP ratio, but they're not. That's okay. Singed Q refresh rate buffed, power impacting bug fix. Oh, okay. Oh. It's a red side buff nerf. Blah, blah. It was red side again. He was doing less damage on red side. What? That's crazy. And then the poison refresh rate, like Rumble, is being updated too. So yeah, that's a buff for Singed. That's really weird. Sion, again, really strong champion at the moment. The problem that you've got with Sion, and I've said this time and time again when he pops up in patch notes, I like the guy, but the Baus of FS has fundamentally changed this champion forever. He has made, still to this day, an army of players, and they have picked up this champion because of him, and they're all pretty bad. Genuinely, because they just looked at what he did, kind of gone, oh, he's Challenger doing that, I'll do that. He's a very good player, and there's so much more going on than the kind of bad players see. But the bad players just see farm high, die a lot, win. It's not that simple, but that's what they see. So they pick up Sion. They're not very good. They tank his win rate, or they tank certain elements of him, and then he gets buffs when he does not need them. But okay. But anyway, the passive, Glory and Death, health loss per tick. So the kind of timing tick. So he's losing less health. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's losing less health per tick in the zombie form, which means he'll last longer. That is really not the thing that you needed to do. Because again, that's the kind of... It's a really annoying thing, speaking as a top laner. It's the really annoying thing when you kill Sion and then you can't punish it at all. Like, you kill him, half the time they don't care that they die. They kill a whole minion wave during a zombie form, or even try to kill you. And you're like, normally in top lane, you go, right, I've killed you. I'm going to do a bit of lane positioning, and I'm going to go for the tower, or I'm going to go back. But you can't do that with Sion because of the zombie. It's really unhealthy. But this is now even unhealthy. I've said always what they need to do with Sion is fundamentally, and it would help the champion, I think, in the long run, because they would be able to make his balance better in other areas. If they started his respawn timer, not from when the champion dies, but when the zombie dies, it would be way better. Because right now, if you die on Sion, instantly, before the zombie form is ready to go, that split second, your death timer starts then. I don't even think Karthus is like that. I'm pretty sure Karthus dies. His death timer doesn't start, I don't think, until his passive goes away. I don't know why Scions isn't like that. Because that's the biggest thing that's unhealthy. It's like, okay, fine. You're in zombie form. You've killed the whole minion wave, so I can't push for the tower. But while he was pushing as a zombie, killing all the waves so his opponent can't push into a tower, he's already starting to respawn. And in the early game, the zombie dies, he's already respawning instantly. And it's like, huh. So the opponent that has maybe played well, got the kill on Scion, can't punish the death on Scion. Like, they've killed Scion. They can't punish it because it's zombie form. And then they're basing, and by the time they base, Cyano's already running back to lane. Yeah, that's not great. And then his E, armor reduction is going up. So if he hits the E, whether he directly hits it or a minion bounces from his E, it's 25% armor reduction. And then, by the way, that will still help the tanky AD Scion, because obviously the strongest build on Scion right now is the hybrid build of AD and tank. It's the Titanic Hydra, the Blood Mail, but then with all the big tank items as well. It is bonkers how strong that can be. Obviously, they have said here that this is a little bit more for the full AD build, which again is the most unhealthy build on Scion. But yeah. So this is literally basically for the Baus of FS. Bonus AD ratio based on time travel as well for the ultimate is going up. So that's going to hit like an absolute truck if he's building full AD. So just prepare to get one shot by an AD Scion's ultimate. So I would also say prepare for a wave of really bad AD Scion players again. So they'll probably, and again, this is the thing, a lot of them aren't very good. A lot of them will just feed because it is harder to play AD Scion because you're way more vulnerable because you're squishy as Scion. But yeah, I'm not sure about that, but okay. Silus, passive now deals bonus damage to monsters. Silas Jungle is back, baby. Fair enough. I've liked playing a Silas Jungle over the years, so that is tempting. Randall, very strong champion right now. So W attack speed decreased late. Cooldown has also been increased. So yeah, they're toning down the W, which obviously, you know, synergizes amazingly well with like Blade Through and King and stuff. So bonus attack speed was 30, 50, up to, by the way, 110%. It's now 30, 45, 60, 75, 90%. So it's still strong. The 110% bonus attack speed was kind of insane for an on-hit champion. And then the cooldown of it is also going up as well. So it's a double hit for the W. And like, trust me when I say, I think a lot of people that kind of go, what the hell, this Trundle? Those people, you know, he's fairly one-dimensional. But if you're fighting a Trundle on his W, that's where you're probably going wrong. Don't do that. Varus. Q damage decreased, W damage increased in late, and E damage decreased with the bug fix. So we're tweaking Varus's patch in order to make him stronger in the hands of an average player, while making him weaker in pro play. To achieve this, we're nerfing Lethality Varus as it's his primary pro build because it's the safest build. But they're buffing the on-hit build as compensation. So base damage for the arrow is going down. The bonus magic on hit, though, for the W is going up. Hail of Arrows is also going down, with also an AD ratio nerf as well. So yeah, on hit will be not. I'm not gonna say better, but they're on hit is what they're trying to tell people more to go. Fair enough. Viego again, very strong champion recently. So attack speed growth decreased, Q nerfed against monsters and buffed against non-monsters. Okay, so Viego has crept back up the top spot in the jungle due in part to the recent Kraken Slayer buffs. Instead of a straightforward nerf, we're going to be shifting some of his power from the jungle into solo lanes. I don't know who was asking for this, but okay. So the attack speed growth is just going down, and then his Q, the damage of it is going up. The crit strike multiplier is going down, however. The bonus that it used to do to monsters is no bonus anymore. But again, it still did a lot of damage, so you'll be fine if you're continuing to jungle on him. The mark minion healing is going up, so minions are the ones in lane, so you'll be getting bonus healing. If you Q them, then auto attack them, then you're getting healing. The monster healing is going down, however, but don't worry because there's billions of sustain in the jungle anyway. But again, a buff to champion healing, so if you're in top lane or mid lane, you Q an enemy champion, auto attack them, you're going to be getting more healing from that as well. Oh my god, they're nerfing Warwick. It's a buff. Is it actually? Wait, what? Warwick's easy to pick up and play, which is reflected in his moderately high win rate, typically of an approachable jungler. However, in top lane, he's too strong. Speed like this probably for about a year, by the way, so they're actually finally doing it, or finally mentioned it, which can lead to very frustrating experiences where he either can be killed by an all-in or simply sustains back out of reach. We're shifting some power from his early game passive into his base attack damage in order to weaken his early game resourceless healing while leaving his damage and Q healing intact. Okay, and even buffed in some cases. Interesting. So they're trying to make this a neutral for Warwick jungle, but a negative for top lane. So yeah, more AD, but the Q, obviously the bonus on hit damage, which is giving you the healing, etc., is going from 12 to 6 at level 1. It's staying the same eventually, but yeah, it's going to hurt the early game healing, which I think is a good thing. Because again, that's the bigger element with Warwick. It's fine to have absolute all-ins and he can potentially win some of them because Tryndamere does that, It's more that when you go for a trade on him, half the time it feels pointless even in the early game, because guess what? In 1 or 2 minion waves, he's back to full health even in the early game. It's kind of insane. And obviously, especially when they all take barrier, and the reason they take barrier is to survive very at low health, to maximize the low health attack speed and everything like that. So I don't know if that's enough, but it's a decent start. Xin Zhao, base health decreased, Q damage decreased. He's getting double nerfs when they've just announced he's getting that big update of the whole new model. 20 less health, and then also the flat bonus damage per hit is going down. So yeah, a lot of the good junglers at the moment are these kind of AD bruiseries, and the reason for it is that they're tanky and they do a very high amount of damage, so it's the best of both worlds. So you're seeing Nocturne nerfs, Xin Zhao nerfs, Jarvan nerfs. They're all very, very similar champions. So I think that's fine. No. Zyra, E cooldown decreased, R damage increased. So you don't see much Zyra. I think she is a harder to play champion the higher rating you go. She can get punished quite easily, and her damage is pretty low. So yeah, the E, which is good for CC, is going down. So a buff, 1 second, so you'll be able to use it more often. And the ultimate, again, a damage buff I welcome, because again, her damage is low. 20 damage buff at rank 1, up to a 50 damage buff at rank 3. I think potentially she might have needed like an AP ratio increase somewhere, because yeah, her damage is so low. But it's buffs nonetheless, so that's good. Item, the only one is obviously that hex plate that they mentioned. So the attack speed of it is going up by 20%, 50% overdrive attack speed, and the overdrive movement speed is going up by 20%. So just to explain what is overdrive, it's when you use your ultimate. So that's why it's been the perfect Nocturne ultimate item. The Nocturne ultimates on somebody, jumps on somebody, he's getting these bonuses while he's just ulted on somebody. It's pretty good. So yeah, Nocturne has obviously had some more nerfs to compensate, because every single Nocturne probably buys this item first. So I think for Nocturne, he's going to remain very, very, very strong, because this is a decent buff. Interesting. Mr. Baron Nashor. So when we removed Baron's health regen in last patch, we overlooked the extra regen that got added to him for every minute of the game. So we found that sneaky stat allocation and squashed it. So now Baron really won't regenerate more health mid-combat. Okay, so there you go. So it was basically just something that he didn't equate for. Fair enough. Arena. I'm not really playing much Arena. Let me know. Are you guys still playing Arena? I'm not. I don't dislike it. I like that it exists. I like having more game modes and choice, but I just play so much Summoner's Rift. When am I going to play Arena? And I'm not really going to play it in my spare time. I'm just not going to. ARAM Clash is this... Oh, yeah, ARAM Clash is this weekend. There's a chance I might play one of the days. I don't think we're doing anything this weekend. We are obviously, I would say, as of recording, I'm like roughly a month or so away from my wedding. So we are kind of ramping up to that. So a lot of the weekends we're kind of like doing final planning things. I think this weekend for me is finding a dress shirt that goes with my suit. I have my suit. I'm pretty sure I might have found what tie I'm getting, but I need to find the shirt. I think that's my goal for this weekend. But I think that's all I'm really doing. So hopefully I might be able to play one of the days at least. So that'll be cool. Bug fixes, so again, always worth looking at them. Yeah, why not? And then upcoming skins, which includes that Victorious Fiora. So there we go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Nothing insane. The thing that I would say I'm most intrigued by, just because I'm like, I wonder how that's going to go, genuinely, is... that. The AD Mordekaiser thing. That intrigues me. I'm interested to see how that does. Let me know what you think. But anyway, yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This will be uploaded as today's second video. So again, if you appreciate the effort, do throw a like, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's Ozzy Games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the Ozzy dream alive. Tune in on Twitch, it's the place to be. Ozzy Games, let's go hang with me. So hit that bell, don't miss a thing. Thanks for the love, you're making me sing.